Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Too Big to Fit podcast. I am really excited for our conversation today. I am here with Nancy Bullard, and we are going to be talking about all things of getting out of diet culture, supporting health and longevity with a common sense approach to food and movement. Stay tuned after this. I'm Mackenzie Morris, and after 15 years of building brands, scaling businesses, and creating empires across industries, I have learned that it is not only okay to be uncontainable, it's actually a superpower built within the multi-passionate, the visionaries, and the big dreamers. This is the first multi-dimensional business podcast that mixes strategy, identity, personal stories, conversations, and the messy, unfiltered parts of being a creative to help you build a brand that's impossible to ignore just by being exactly who you are. This is the Too Big to Fit podcast. Nancy Bullard is a certified nutrition, fitness, and mindset coach who works with women navigating midlife, weight changes, and the frustration of doing everything right but really not seeing any results. She is a mom of 5 and a nana of 8, so she has a big family, and Nancy understands firsthand how unrealistic diet culture is for real life. Through her food, fitness, focus approach, she helps women step out of dieting and into sustainable, stress-free way of eating, moving, and living that supports hormone health, strength, and longevity without calorie counting, macro tracking, restriction, or spending hours in the gym. Her goal is to empower women with a new normal around food and movement for life. Nancy, thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely.
I am really excited to have this conversation earlier in the podcast. And actually yesterday, I had shared some photos online and shared kind of my journey towards a healthier lifestyle and weight loss. And for me, it's really not that I feel like I am massively overweight, right? I don't think I am abnormally unhealthy, but I am just not as confident in my body on the outside as I am on the inside. Like how I feel internally, the confidence and the power and the strength that I feel identically really is not matching my outward appearance. And that's what I'm working towards, kind of making them match a little bit better. So this conversation could not have come at a better time.
I saw your post yesterday. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy because for months and months I've been going to Hot Works, I've been working out, I've been eating well, which I'm always feel like I eat well. Like I don't do a lot of junk food. I don't do fast food, but there's always this thought that I have in the back of my head is like, am I actually eating as well as I believe that I am? Like, are the fruits and vegetables that I'm eating, is it really as healthy as I think it is? Do you have clients that come to you that kind of with that question?
Yeah, it's interesting because what you said about you think you eat well, most people do. But one of the things that we do the first week is we photo log everything we eat. So what most people think is eating well really has a lot of room for really simple, small changes to make huge improvements. And it's not about like total overhaul, but just realizing like, oh, I thought that was good or I thought that was healthy, but maybe there's a better, easier choice is pretty eye-opening. The other thing along with eating well is it's really great when people eat well, but we do it super inconsistently. And so I'll have women, we don't track, but we like have different metrics that we use. And they'll say, like, I think I'm about 80% compliant. Like one of the really simple things is just the plate method. And then we talk about what your plate should look like. And then they have a habit tracker. So they're saying like, yes, I had the plate method that meal. And then I can look on my end, it's like, well, you were actually about 62% compliant. But in their minds, they thought they were super compliant.
Wow.
And so that discrepancy is really eye-opening and can really help motivate some behavior change without a lot of friction.
So where is that breakdown? Like, why are we thinking that we're doing so well and we're being so compliant and we're actually not? Is it like a knowledge gap what is it? What is that gap?
Well, I think it's a few things. One, it could be a knowledge gap because so much marketing is a powerful thing. And so much of what we're marketed in the food industry is healthy. It's just really not. There's better choices. But the other thing is we are used to this like instant fix, instant society. Like we're a microwave society. We want it right now. And so we feel like, well, if I've done this 6, 8, 10 times, that's really consistent. Well, when I talk about consistency, I'm talking about 16 weeks, not a week. 16 times, 3 to 4 meals a day. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I had a lot of room for, well, it was just this one little thing, and it was just this one little thing.
Mhm.
And pretty soon that one little thing has you being much less consistent than you think you are.
Wow, that's really helpful to kind of understand. And I know there was one day where I've had a few realizations in my life that have made me been like, oh wait, this is part of my problem. I'm the problem. Hi, it's me. One, fruit has calories. I thought they were free foods that you could just eat with no penalty or no punishment at all because they're healthy and they're good for your body. They have vitamins and nutrients, but they also have sugars. That was one thing that I realized that was probably maybe detrimental. I'm not super sure. And then the other thing that I really realized was for a long time I would think that we our calories would almost like start over at the end of the day to where it's like you're supposed to have 2,000 calories a day or whatever that is. And like if I eat $2,000 today, then tomorrow it's just gonna like start over, right? But if I do 3,000 because I went to a birthday party and I had cake and candies or went out and had drinks or whatever that looks like, and you're adding on another 1,000 calories, that compounds onto it. It's not like it goes away.
Right.
Is that right? Like, am I thinking of that correctly or am I totally off?
Well, a couple things. One, nobody's gaining weight because they're eating too much fruit.
Good to know. Yes, I've got the permission slip from Nancy. I can eat as much fruit as I want, Mom.
Yes, fruit has sugar, but when we eat foods, we don't eat nutrients in isolation. So we're not eating sugar. We're eating a package, and that package contains a lot of fiber, a lot of micronutrients, and really calorie-wise, it's very calorie sparse and nutrient dense.
Okay.
So I like to look at foods in that lens because one of the things, I mean, I work with a lot of women in midlife, and a lot of us, myself included, have done all the diets. I have done Weight Watchers, The Zone. I mean, most of your audience is probably too young to even know that The Zone was a thing, but it was a thing. Like kind of like Atkins. Now, I've done Optavia, worst thing out there. It's really popular, promises big results. Just don't go down that road. I beg people not to do that. Okay. I've macro tracked, I've calorie counted, I've low carb, I've high protein, I've done it all. And all of those things work to some degree. People lose weight on those different plans. But what happens is it's the mentality of you're on a plan, but then you go off the plan. Mm-hmm. And when we go off the plan, it's like we just fall right back into our defaults.
Right.
And half the time, probably more than half the time, people gain all their weight back and then some. So then they're searching for the next like shiny object that's going to fix the problem. And we're in this perpetual cycle. When we get away from diet culture, diet mentality, needing a plan, and just start looking at what is our food made of and what is it doing for us, we start to see ways to naturally control calories because calories still matter.
Yeah.
Like we're not defying the laws of thermodynamics here, but they can matter and we cannot count them and still have results all at the same time. Like those things can coexist. Yeah. And so I teach women to look at the nutrient density of their food that is more calorie sparse because that allows us to eat volume. And when we eat volume, we're less hungry, we're more satisfied, and we're getting more of the things our body needs. So those things help us naturally control calories without counting calories and seeing like a bigger, healthier picture, if that makes sense.
It does. And I think that that's really helpful because it kind of gets away from the idea of, okay, we have this amount of calories and whether it starts over or it doesn't start over or whatever, it doesn't matter because we're following the plan. And if you follow the plan, things should work out.
Well, and if most of the time you're in a place calorically that is where you want to be, and by that I mean, look at again, consistency is key, but if you can be consistent for 10 days, 2 weeks, you're going to start to see how your body responds. All right, are you starting to lose some weight? You've probably lost some water weight because you're getting rid of some of the garbage food. The scale's starting to move. Okay, I'm on the right path. Well, if you're very, very consistent and you don't have to track your calories to figure that out, again, photo logging, super helpful. And the scale's going up, you're like, okay, I'm eating really healthy foods, but maybe my quantity is just a little too much and I need to take it down a few notches. So it's not about like we're going into these like super low calorie goals or, I have to be super regimented, but it's about quality nutrition in a way that I see how your body responds. And then you can kind of play with that. And it's a process of just learning what is normal for me to put me in the place I want to get to. Not like some magic formula or some magic tracking tool or some, perfect way for you. Right. Because I feel like if most people did the basics really consistently, we'd see a lot of change without a lot of angst and stress and all the drama that comes around diet culture.
Right. This idea that you've mentioned a few times of photo logging is really intriguing to me. I've worked with a bunch of coaches and nutritionalists, and I'm still kind of where I'm at, right? So now I'm at this point where I've taken control, I'm doing it my own way, and I'm getting some sort of result. I'm not losing weight, but my body is turning into muscle. The fat that I have is turning into muscle, right? Is that not what it is? No. Something's happening in my body, and Nancy's going to tell us what it is right now.
Well, fat doesn't turn into muscle, and muscle doesn't turn into something else. Muscle can atrophy, and you can lose muscle mass, which often happens when people lose weight. That's why the big caution with GLP-1 medications, which I think are an awesome tool when used appropriately, but we've got to continue to work on muscle strength and muscle maintenance during that process. Any kind of weight loss can change muscle fat ratios and body composition. So really what you're talking about is key. And such a healthy way to look at it is you're changing your body composition.
Yeah.
So your weight can stay exactly the same, but if you think about muscles like Spanx for our body.
Okay, so, I like this analogy here.
Say a pound is a pound. I see this all the time on social media. Well, muscle weighs more, or fat weighs more than muscle. No, it doesn't. A pound is a pound. I don't care if it's a pound of flour, a pound of sugar, a pound of muscle, a pound of fat. It's a pound.
Okay.
But this is for instance, for, visual. So this might be what a pound of muscle looks like, whereas a pound of fat can look like this. So it's taking up less space. It's tighter. It's smoother. It's neater. So when I say it's like Spanx, it's like if your body composition is more muscular, you're going to have a tighter, smaller build, even if your weight's exactly the same with someone whose body composition is more body fat. Because it's bigger, it's globbier, it's not tight and neat, and it's just going to appear different. So body composition is like the name of the game. And so I really try to help women get off of this idea of I want to be a certain number, but rather I want to be confident in what I see in the mirror, whatever that number is, because it's all about what your body is showing you.
I have kind of gone through this journey and I'm building more muscle and I'm getting so much stronger and I'm learning to trust my body more. That's one of the biggest things that I have really found throughout this journey is as I've started doing these workouts and attempting to do things that I would have been like, oh my gosh, I never could do this before. I'm learning not only how to become a person that does these things, that can stick to some sort of plan like this and not identify as someone who can't stay consistent or always falls off, right? I'm becoming a new version of myself. But my confidence is increasing so much more because I'm able to realize more of my power in like a tangible physical way of like, wow, I just put myself in a upwards V position in a Pilates pose and I held it for a minute and a half. Like, what? Who is this person? And I think that this has been one of the coolest things where it's like, oh my gosh, I'd come home from working out and show my husband, hey babe, watch this, and I'll show him this new pose that I did that I held. And it's just a whole new version of myself to where even though the weight is staying the same, I am mentally seeing a difference and I am physically feeling a difference in my strength, whether it looks different on the outside or not. And I'm not identifying my success to how it looks on the outside.
That takes time. I mean, it really takes a lot of time. People think, well, if I just do this 12-week program, I'm going to look a certain way. I mean, muscle development is a slow process, but being consistent and doing it day in, day out, over and over and over, and it doesn't have to be daily, but you know what I mean? That's when you're going to start to see change over time. Yeah. And so it can be really discouraging because it's like I'm doing everything right, but I'm not seeing it. And I think that's why our consistency falters because it's like, well, forget it. Like it didn't work. Well, okay, but did you do it for like 2 years? Yeah. Like that's, honestly, it takes just that kind of time. It's not a 12-week or a 6-week quick fix kind of thing. And, a lot of programs will promise lose 10 pounds in 6 weeks. Like, well, yeah, you can do that. You're not physically losing body fat in 6 weeks. You're going to lose some water weight. You might lose a little body fat. You're not gaining a ton of muscle mass in 6 weeks. Like those things just take time. I love what you said about identity. One of the first things I have my gals do when they start, even before we start, like day 1 of my program, is this little exercise where I call it empowering you. I help women look at like, how do I want to be identified? Like, do I want to be identified as an active person, a healthy person, a confident person? I like to use the example of generosity because it's just an easy one to flesh out. Like, I want to be identified as a generous person. Okay, so what behaviors mark a generous person? Like I tip above 20%, even if the service is bad, because I'm a generous person and I don't know what that person's circumstances were. Or, I give of my time or I give of my resources. Those are things that someone who is generous would do.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, so I've identified some behaviors that generous people do. Well, how do I start implementing those behaviors? What actions can I take to actually become that person?
Mm-hmm.
And so, same thing with health and fitness. I talk to women that, their mindset is, I can't lose weight. Nothing works for me. I'm not strong. I don't like to work out. I hear that all the time. Well, you're identifying yourself as all of these things rather than, hey, but what do you want? Like, I want to be strong. Okay, let's start identifying as a strong person. So what do strong people do? Strong people show up for themselves. Strong people get in the gym. Strong people have a plan. And it's not like, I'll do this one day and I'll do this one day. Like, strong people do these things. So how can we put things into your plan that help you become that person?
Right.
Because that total shift in how we speak to ourselves is the biggest game changer.
Yeah.
When we stop speaking to ourselves as the defeated, failure, I blow it, I'm not good at this person, and start speaking to ourselves as the, I can figure this out, I'm smart and capable, I can do this, then those things start happening. Yeah. And so it's a big part of what I do. That's the focus part, is we really look at shifting our mindset to becoming and identifying with who we want to be seen as.
That is so good. That is so helpful. And I think identity is a huge piece. That's a big thing that I talk about with my clients constantly. And I've gone through a lot of transformational coaching courses and emotional regulation, coaching courses and stuff that I've kind of been trained in doing this with people. And there is this thing that we get from identifying as those versions of ourselves that maybe we don't really want to be, right? So if we are identifying as someone who is really struggling to make a change, right? We're getting something from that, right? If you are struggling and struggling over and over and over again and life is really hard, what are you getting from that? Well, you're being the overcomer. You get to be kind of this superhero in the story of I was struggling, but I did it, So once we can really be okay getting rid of that and being like, okay, I don't have to be the hero in the story because I don't have to struggle. I can just be successful. I can just be the version of myself that I want. I think it really does open up the whole next level to being actually willing to make a change.
I will say there's something that came to my mind when you were talking about this. So many women that I work with come to me and their first goal is a weight loss goal. And I honestly tell people, I am not a weight loss coach. I am going to help you become a healthier version of you. And if you have excess body fat, you're probably going to lose some weight. But getting out of that mindset of this number on the scale or this number in my clothes or this letter, we all don't want to see the L on our clothes, is what women across the board have said. That's when things changed. When I stopped striving for this certain outcome, but rather started focusing on all the steps of like becoming this other person, then those things just happened. And it's super like gratifying for me to see because I know that that's how it works. Like we've got to get out of our heads, but also because I've seen women literally who've said, I literally have plateaued for 3, 4, 5 years. And as soon as I stopped trying to achieve this thing I thought I wanted and started just doing the things, everything changed. And it's like, they just have a glow about them and this like confidence and a belief in themselves that they just didn't have before because they felt defeated.
Right.
I don't know if that answered your question.
No, that's okay. I was really just
my brain
kind of back into what happens after y'all do that identity piece. After that.
So the first week, we kind of look at where you are now. And that's the photo logging. And I forget the name of what it's called, but there's this thing where people automatically, subconsciously change behavior when they know somebody's going to be looking at what they do. But I try to tell people don't change anything. But I know in my mind, things will change because they know I'm going to look at it. But the idea is, where am I now? Like, let's get an honest picture of where I am. No judgment. No, like if you eat McDonald's 7 times a week, take a picture of it. I don't care. Because we're in a process of growth and change. So it doesn't matter where you are, other than it's something we can use to springboard forward. I want people to spend a week like just looking at like, where are we? Plus, it's really eye-opening for people because, like I said, people think they do one thing, but what is actually happening is not quite the same story.
I think that back again to the photo logging, I am very intrigued because, like I said, I don't think I got my thought out fully earlier. Is I've worked with all of these people, I've done a lot of these programs, and none of them have. And I'm sitting here, I'm envisioning myself going through that process with you, and I can feel like the shame coming through, right? Like if I'm sitting there, I love to eat at like 10 o'clock at night. Everyone tells me that that's wrong. But I have this idea that if I don't eat throughout the day, which I don't, usually I might maybe eat lunch. I am just not hungry. I'm doing other things. So I might eat dinner and then later at night I'm hungry. And I'm like, well, I haven't even eaten anything today. So I'm kind of justifying that. But I feel like this inside my body, the shame of like, oh my God, I have to take a picture of this, gigantic plate that I have of my grapes. And I've got some pretzels and I might have like some chocolates on there and then maybe some sort of chip or something like that. And immediately I could see myself taking that picture and be like, this is my problem. This is the issue. So I feel like it'd be really eye opening, but also kind of scary.
It is super eye opening, but I always stress to people there is no shame in where you are or where you've been, because the point of like, if they've come to me, it's because they want help and they already recognize like, I don't like the trajectory that I'm on and I want to change it. Mm-hmm. But my approach, I always say it's grace with grit. Like I have been the big girl. I have struggled. I have worked with the coaches. I've spent hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to not have long-term success. And it does make you feel very shameful. Like, what is wrong with me? Like, why can I not figure this out? Or just not liking what I see in the mirror.
Yeah.
And wanting to be an example to my kids and be in a place for my grandkids that I'm proud of and happy to like live life with them. But there's just no place for shame because I'm just such a matter of fact person. And some people don't like that and some people do. But to me, it just is what it is. If it's bad, okay, it's bad. Like deal with it. Let's deal with it. If it's great, all right, great. It is what it is. There's no value judgment on that. There's no value judgment in the size of your clothing or what the number on the scale is, because that's not who we are. And who we are is what we value and what matters. So I haven't really had anyone tell me that particular exercise made them feel shameful, but I get lots of comments like, I'm so embarrassed for you to see this.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, that's where the grace and the grit comes in. It's like, well, one, don't be embarrassed. They're like, if you saw half of what I eat, I should be embarrassed. Like we all, like food is wonderful. It's not just fuel.
Yeah.
And if somebody's like, if you saw food as fuel, you'd see success. Like, no, food is social and familial and celebratory and all the wonderful things. And we can still have that while we're also, again, these things can coexist, working on improving our health and our body composition. And so the grit comes in where I say, okay, these aren't the best choices. How do we make better choices that you can live with and that can be sustainable? Yeah. Because it's not shameful that you are where you are. Now, if you recognize where you are and say, oh, well, okay, maybe you should feel a little ashamed of that because you wouldn't be here coming to me in the first place.
Right.
But the shameful thing is recognizing it, wanting to change, but not being willing to do what it takes to change.
Did y'all hear that? That was so good. Recognizing what it is that you need to do to change and not being willing to do it. That's incredible. So after they go through this photo logging process, what happens next?
The next week we spend on mindset, and we talk about stress and emotional eating, both big issues with women. We're taught, probably modeled to us from the time we're little. If you're sad, we get a treat. Or if you've had a bad day, we get a treat. Or if something's super great, we get a treat. Like we're treating ourselves all the time. And treats have become so normal that they're not treats anymore. And so just understanding what triggers our behavior around food. Sometimes we eat because we're bored. And then we wonder why, 2 months later, we've gained 6 pounds. We're just eating nonstop. So we take a week and really focus on behaviors around eating, emotions around eating, stress, and also learning to understand our own hunger cues. Like, am I truly hungry or is this bored? Or am I truly hungry or am I anxious and so I'm wanting to grab? Like we start to listen to our bodies and understand what our bodies are telling us. But also understanding that it's okay to feel hungry. Feeling hungry doesn't mean you're under eating or that this is some kind of like, well, it's my body's signal that I need food. Well, no, probably not. It's a normal way to feel, and learning how to manage it and understanding when it's appropriate and not being afraid of it and knowing that it's going to be satisfied at some point can help us get past that, like, I'm always hungry. Well, okay, but so let's manage that.
Yeah.
Let's learn how to deal with that and understand what our bodies are telling us.
I think that is really interesting because I just went through a 7-day liver detox where I was drinking the shake, and for 2 days, the only thing I had was shake and like these pills. And the mental piece of that was rough because I was terrified. I did not feel hungry. Like, I was actually fine. The shakes satiated me and it was fine. But it was the realizing of, oh my God, I'm not eating. I'm going to die. I'm supposed to eat 3 meals a day. I'm not doing that. And now on the other side of it, I was like, oh my God, I did it. I actually stuck to 7 days. I stuck to the plan. I was very, very proud of myself because I've tried to do this 3 times. And the third time was when I was like, okay, we're actually going to do this. But I could never get past that second day because I was like, I am so trained to feel like I'm supposed to be eating and doing these things. And I never really understood how to identify those hunger cues. And I also was kind of judging myself whenever I would eat or wouldn't eat. Learning how to kind of overcome that was really helpful.
Yeah. So then after that week, the next week we dive into what does our plate look like. And we keep it really simple. And we just focus on getting plenty of fruits and vegetables and fiber, healthy fats, lean proteins, and understanding the role that carbohydrates play. Because everybody's afraid of carbohydrates, and every woman out there thinks carbohydrates make them fat. Well, it doesn't. Excess calories make us fat. Laws of thermodynamics, like I said, they are still real. But complex carbohydrates can be very calorie dense. And so it's very easy to overconsume them and not see the place they play in the overall picture of our diet. And again, we just live in a social media world that everything is in isolation. We talk about carbs in isolation. Well, let's talk about carbs in terms of what our plate looks like. We talk about fiber in isolation. Okay, let's look at fiber in terms of our overall picture. Because we get to where, like, I'm sure unless you've been living under a rock, the last couple years at least, protein. Yes, protein. We are like,
get your protein goals.
Obsessed with protein. Well, Americans eat more protein than anyone else in the world, but we're still obsessed with thinking we don't get enough protein. And we need to kind of chill out a little bit. Okay. Now, protein's important. Protein is important for muscle growth. It's important for satiation. It's important for all different processes in our body. But we've become so obsessed with it. It's like we've forgotten that there's a whole palette of foods out there that we're not, also looking at. And I am going to predict that this next year, the obsession is going to be fiber.
I've seen it.
It's already coming. People. And all the protein people have 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight. We've got to be eating these, massive amounts of protein and sucking down all the animal protein and supplementing, and all this is going to become all the fiber supplements. And it's going to open up this market of nonsense that if you just eat real food, you're going to meet your needs. But that doesn't sell. It's not a quick fix. But fiber is going to be the next thing. It's going to be the next thing we all obsess over. So I'm just going to tell you right now, eat your fruits and vegetables, eat your complex whole grain, whole food complex carbohydrates, and you're going to be just fine. Like, we don't need to panic. We need to be balanced and look at it as a whole and not each little part, and then demonizing or prioritizing each little thing.
Okay, so whenever you talk about the perfect plate, give us an example of what that would look like.
So basically, the plate method's been around for a long time. I did not come up with it. 1/4 of your plate, lean proteins. 1/4 of your plate, complex carbohydrates, preferably whole food sources, meaning your rice, potatoes, sweet potatoes, legumes, which can also be part of the protein category, quinoa, those kinds of things.
So not noodles.
Starchy.
Not noodles.
Well, there's a place for that.
Okay.
But when we first start looking at what our plate looks like, the focus is on whole foods. And then half your plate, fruits and vegetables. Throw in some healthy fats, avocados. I'm not going down the seed oil rabbit hole because there's so much misinformation about that. And that would take a whole podcast that I'm not qualified to talk on, but I definitely have my opinions. Just being conscious, fat is very calorie dense. Avocados, nuts, seeds, oils, per gram, it's 9 calories, whereas carbohydrates and protein, it's 4 calories per gram. So it's a very dense source of nutrient. So just being mindful of the quantity of it, but we don't need to be afraid of it. This push to eating butter and tallow and all these like saturated fats I don't think is healthy. But again, we don't need to be afraid of it. We just need, it needs to have its place, kind of like all the other foods. They all have their place. They all fit together so beautifully. And we just make it too complicated. It's pretty simple. So then after we look at our plate and we practice that for the week, we look at how do we consistently get that plate? Because that's what the number one thing women tell me is I understand whole food nutrition. I understand how to put my plate together, but I just struggle to be consistent because we're busy. And I always say, make good food convenient. Don't reach for convenient foods. That's your fast foods, your things in a package, things you throw in the microwave, in a box, in a wrapper, but make good food convenient. So we spend a week looking at how to batch cook, especially I'm not a big meal prep person in that like I have my 15 little black containers with their clear lids and I have all my proteins and all like one, I don't eat like that. And I may not feel like that. And so if I have 10 of these meals, I guarantee you 7 of them are going to end up in the trash because they're either going to get thrown out because I'm sick of them or they're going to sit in the freezer so long because I think then I'll have good choices later that they're freezer burned and nasty. Yep. So that's not my philosophy. That works for people. There's nothing wrong with that approach. And I have women who like to do that. But I teach things like batch cook your protein. If you have a crock pot full of chicken breasts that you can shred, you can make 10 different meals with that. Mm-hmm. And you have an easy grab and go protein source. Yeah. Have your veggies cut and cleaned and ready. Have your fruit sitting out on the counter. Have things available so at any point you could throw together that plate with very little effort. And that helps with your consistency, but also your time, your budget, your mental health. Like it's stress. Mm-hmm. Like the thought of like planning dinner every single night, I don't know. I can't stand it. So if I just know that I have these options in the fridge, then whatever sounds good, okay, I can throw that together. I can throw together a teriyaki chicken bowl. I can throw together a taco bowl, a burrito bowl, a salad with meat. Like I could throw lots of things together to make what sounds good at the time without having to like figure it out every day. If that makes sense.
I think so. I think that's all really helpful, and it's refreshing to have someone who is deep in this space say you don't have to meal prep the chicken and the rice and the broccoli. Like you can do other things, and it will be okay.
Well, and you need to eat foods you love.
Yeah.
If you don't love the foods you're eating, now that's not to say that you shouldn't try new things because you can grow to love things that are good for you. But people will also, this is another question people ask me, and it gives me so much insight into what they are thinking and what their diet culture meter is. Do I have to eat cottage cheese to be on your plan?
Tell us your thoughts on cottage cheese, Nancy. Tell us. I've got a few creators I follow who are like totally against cottage cheese, and people will go and tag them in videos. Liam is who I'm talking about. If y'all know, you know. People will go and tag him in all of these cottage cheese videos because they know how much he hates it.
Well, first, the answer to these women is you don't ever have to eat anything you don't like. But I am going to encourage you to try some new things because you might like them. But cottage cheese, that's another, it pairs so well with the protein obsession because it's very high protein, easily accessible, very affordable. And yes, it's a great way to add additional protein to your meal. But this idea that we need to turn everything into something mixed with cottage cheese because that's the magic is just nonsense. And if you don't like cottage cheese, don't eat it. If you like it, include it. Like it's not that it really should be that common sense.
Okay. Well, just for fun, what do you think on Greek yogurt? Do you have the same kind of vision? Because for me, I've grown to like it, and I've used Greek yogurt to replace all of the sour creams and the mayos and all of that stuff. And I found it's a pretty good replacement that tastes pretty similar. Mayo, that was a stretch. Okay, the Greek yogurt to the mayo, that was a stretch. But
yeah, I don't. Those would not be ones I would substitute. So again, Greek yogurt. Stay away from the ones that are full of fruit jellies and fruits because it's just got a lot of garbage in it. If you want a sweetened Greek yogurt, there are Greek yogurts out there. Like I love vanilla Greek yogurt. I don't eat plain Greek yogurt. Gasp. Oh my word. I'm like ruining myself. No. I just don't like the taste of it. I've tried it with honey, which by the way, honey digests as simple sugar like everything else. It's not magical either. So if you like it, use it. If you don't, there's other things out there to use. I don't eat a lot of mayonnaise. I do a chicken salad that I really like and a tuna salad. But other than that, I don't consume any mayonnaise. So if I want to eat mayonnaise in those, okay, that's a pretty minuscule part of the bigger picture. And I always let's take a step back and always look at the bigger picture. because any one little thing isn't going to make or break you. It's where does that fit in the bigger picture that's going to matter. So if you like mayonnaise, manage your mayonnaise. If you like Greek yogurt, eat it. Like, it's fine. Like, common sense, we've lost it.
Yeah, we absolutely have. I love it. I had one question. So after we have gone through this whole process, we are taking photos of our food, we're going through mindset, learning about the perfect plate, and we're making good foods convenient. What happens after that?
All right, let me back up a little bit, because first, let's talk about movement, because that's not an afterthought. So when somebody first starts with me, one of the first things they do is fill out a little questionnaire about fitness. You know, what they're currently doing, what they like, if they don't really have a plan, if they have any injuries, things like that. And so for the 6 weeks that we do the group program, at the very beginning, I have them on some kind of fitness routine that matches their lifestyle. I have 15-minute routines. Some women just walk. Like, they're so trapped behind a desk in their 9 to 5 or their 8 to 7 or whatever it is they're doing. They just need to be moving their body and not stressing out about trying to get that right. Like, just start moving. So I really meet women where they are there, and that's the overarching umbrella, is this moving our bodies. So that's even before we start the food journal. That's part of that initial, how do you identify? Because during the 6 weeks that we work together, I want them to experience, what does a strength training workout look like? What does just changing my habits from sitting all day to moving, like, what do those things look like, and how does that become my new normal?
Right.
So that first. And then also for women who, I did CrossFit for 7 or 8 years. I taught boot camps. I did personal training. There are women who love classes. They need that accountability or they won't do it. They don't want to work out at home. They love going. They've got friends. It's very social. And I would never, ever ask someone to stop doing that and do my programming. Because if you're doing something you love, that's like the gold star.
Right.
You have to love it or you're not going to keep doing it. And so one of the things that I encourage women, if they're doing something they love, let's stick to it. And then it becomes an accountability piece in the habit tracker that we use. So they don't have to do my workouts, but so many women just don't know where to start, or maybe gym membership's not in their budget, or they're not comfortable in the gym. In fact, this last week, I got my second message from a gal that I've worked with that went back to bar after having a knee surgery. And she said, had I not been working with you on my core and balance strength while I was recovering, I could never have gone back to class. And then I had a gal who, she did at-home workouts for well over a year together. And then she started going to Orange Theory. She said, I would have never had the confidence to walk into a place like that had we not done this first. But Orange Theory is a better fit for her. So it's not about, well, she's not doing my program. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Move your body. If you want to do Pilates, yoga, bar, like, I don't care. We need to be moving our bodies every day in some capacity. So that's kind of something we look at for the whole 6 weeks. Then we, start those incremental steps that we've talked about. And then after we work on, okay, how do we make this consistent with our diet? We look at the 2 other pillars of longevity, which are stress management. We spend a week working on breath work, recognizing like what stresses us out. How can we create an environment to mitigate that? Like, just dealing with stress. And then the last week we work on sleep.
Man, this is where I'm sure I'm going to get a wake-up call here.
So there have been studies done that show that we subconsciously eat 300 to 500 more calories the next day after one poor night's sleep. So if you think about, like, my whole philosophy is, how do we control calories without counting calories? If you're subconsciously eating 300 to 500 more calories because you're chronically tired, like, that's going to add up really fast. And what an easy way to move the needle in our overall consumption by improving our sleep. Plus, our workouts are going to improve. We're going to have more energy. Our social relationships are going to improve because we're not going to be quite so grumpy. All the things in life, if we're not well rested, we don't show up as our best self. And sleep is super important. And again, Americans just have it all backwards, and we go, and grind. And we're not putting enough emphasis on the importance of a good night's sleep. And there's some simple things we do to our sleep environment and our habits that help women kind of restore their sleep. And whether that means you've got kids at home, or whether you're 55 and you have hot flashes and night sweats all night, like, there's things we can do to improve our sleep quality. And that rounds out the 6 weeks. And then most women stay in what I call the habit hub, and the ball is in their court. They've got all the tools but only they know the areas they're still struggling in. And so each week they pick one or two areas, and their habits for the week reflect the things they want to continue to focus on. And sometimes it's like, I cannot deal with the food side of the equation right now, but if I could just hit my workouts every day, that's what I want to do this week, and that's a win. And that's what we focus on. And sometimes it's, man, I'm pretty dialed in. My workouts are pretty consistent. It's just part of what I do. But man, I'm all over the map with my food. What do we need to focus on? And then we find one or two simple things and start focusing on it till those things just become automatic, and that just becomes how they live. And then we look at something else, or, I've had a really stressful week. I need breath work on my tracker every day. Like, I need to intentionally take time to slow down. And that's what we do. So then it's kind of a mutual, the ball is in their court, but then I guide and direct them based on the things they're wanting to still work on.
Oh, this program sounds incredible. I think anyone who is struggling at any age really could probably be a fit, but you do specialize in those who are in midlife that are really wanting to focus on longevity. So tell us more about that.
So basically, my ideal client is me. The woman who's in midlife. I'm 57, started my fitness journey in my 40s. That's when I got into the gym. So it's never too late to start. And then, worked with lots of coaches, learned a lot of things that didn't work, how I didn't want to treat people, how I didn't want to communicate. And, came out of diet culture and started to realize I just need to figure out this way that's normal and not like on a plan. Mm-hmm. As soon as we stop starting over on Mondays, and stop starting over on January 1st, and stop starting over on February 1st and March 1st, you get the idea, and just start realizing that it's just the next day is the next good choice, then you're never stuck in that diet trap. So women who've come out of that is the other piece of who I work with. But it's funny because in this last week, I've had two women in their 30s and 40s say, "Would you work with me?"
Yeah, I'm coming up on 30 this year, and I want in. I need help from Nancy.
And I think I told you this when we met before. Like, I wish my 30-year-old self knew what I knew now, because I spent 20 plus years feeling defeated and ugly and incapable and not confident and not desirable to my husband, and not able to show up the way I wanted to show up for the life I wanted to live. And so, like, I wish I had that mindset and that mentality 30 years ago, 20 years ago. So I'm very open to working with anyone. Some of my resources are really targeted toward the perimenopause and postmenopausal woman, but we're all going to get there.
Yeah.
If you're not there yet, it's like, okay, I'm going to put that on the shelf because it's going to come back around. Yeah. And really, like I said before, if we just focused on the basics and focused on doing those really consistency, we would see massive changes in our health. And as our health improves, our bodies are going to improve. All of these things will change. Again, kind of like we micromanage our nutrients, we focus on sugar, we focus on protein. There's this whole realm of we focus on gut health. Well, I'm here to tell you, if you want to work on your cognitive health, think mitigating dementia, cognitive decline, Alzheimer's, those things. If you want to work on your gut health, which also relates to immune support, if you want to work on muscle development, if you want to work on sleep and managing stress, body composition, every single thing that I've mentioned has this in common. Move your body every day, focus on whole food nutrition, manage your stress, get enough sleep. So we don't need to start obsessing over what's my microbiome doing. We need to start obsessing over eating whole food. We don't even do that. We reach for it. You said the cleanse, not a cleanse girl. We reach for those things thinking it's going to fix something while we're eating all our garbage over here. And it's like, but if we just ate whole foods, our kidneys, our lungs, our skin, and our livers are incredible detox organs. They take care of us if we take care of them. And the simple, basic things done consistently is what's going to take care of those things. I mean, our bodies are amazing if you think about what all they can do. And we just sabotage them every step of the way. And it's like, let's stop sabotaging our bodies and work with them.
So to kind of round this out, I have one final question, and then we'll kind of give everyone a little bit more details about you, where to find you, your programs, offers, all that good stuff. So I was recently diagnosed with insulin-resistant PCOS. So tell me about that? And is it really as big of a deal as people are making it seem to be? Is it really as difficult to lose the weight and to make changes when you have this? And does everything that you're saying still work even if you have something like that?
I will be totally honest. I think one of my biggest strengths is I know what I don't know, and I don't talk as if I know things I don't know. And I don't know a lot about PCOS. I do know a lot about insulin resistance, and I have struggled with that.
Okay. Yes, I can open it.
Turned it to green.
Green hole turned into green hole? That's incredible.
And they are in the helicopter.
Oh, they're in the helicopter. Man.
Did you know I'm Tinky Hole?
Tinky Hole?
Do you know Tinky Hole?
I don't.
He, Tinky Hole had stinky breath.
Really?
Yeah.
Stinky breath.
All right, bud, we're almost done, okay? Can you give us a few minutes?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Just shut the door.
I think the cat's under the couch, if that matters.
No, if she stays on there, we'll go. Okay, so we were talking about insulin resistance.
So,
Baby, you are a pain today. This is her fortress. Like, she used to be an outside cat. She doesn't come home, so now she stays inside the house, and she has claimed this. The other cats bully her, so she now hangs out here. So insulin resistance.
I've dealt with that. I shouldn't say most. It's very common if you have yo-yo dieted and had big weight fluctuations over time and carried a lot of excess body fat, you'll have some level of insulin resistance. It just simply means our bodies don't manage our glucose well. When our glucose rises, which by the way is totally normal, all of this don't spike your blood sugar thing is, again, we're majoring on the minors because that's not the issue. And you know what fixes it? Food diet. So when your blood sugar spikes, our bodies dump insulin to manage that and shuttle it into the cells it needs to go in and do the things. Well, when we get recurring spikes and more insulin and it's not doing its job, so our bodies are resisting the job of insulin. That's a way oversimplification and probably not a great explanation, but I understand what you're saying. And you can go and request, if you have like regular yearly blood work done, you can request an insulin resistance score. You can look at fasting insulin. It's not standard, but it's also not expensive. It's the same as looking at fasting glucose, A1C, all the things that are in our metabolic health markers. So yes, it does make it harder. It's like your body's fighting against you, but it's not like this death sentence of, well, I just can't ever get past it. It's just like, it's a precursor to diabetes. You don't go from healthy to diabetic. You become insulin resistant, and over time you can go down this slippery slope, and then your numbers fall in this category of your lab numbers, where then now you're considered diabetic, and then you have to do some things to address that because your body's not functioning properly. So you're on that cusp of it's not quite working right, but you're not here yet. And that's a good thing. I really encourage people to talk to their doctors about it. And I know modern medicine right now is gets a bad rap. There's a lot of misinformation and misrepresentation of what modern medicine is all about. It's not all about big pharma. Doctors do not make money. I'm married to one. They're not making money off vaccinating you or writing prescriptions. They're not. That's not how this works. They do not get paid for those things. And they truly do have your best interest at heart. And there are doctors out there who will say, let's change your lifestyle. But here's what I ask my husband this question, and I've struggled with it myself. Like, why are people not getting past this? And he said, if you came to me as a physician and said, this is what's going on, and I look at your lab work and I tell you, I want you to spend the next year overhauling your lifestyle, consistently eating whole food-based diet, moving your body daily, doing all these things. One, your compliance is going to be pretty poor. You're just out there on your own. Two, people want to be fixed. So while all the people complain about modern medicine, they want the pill that fixes them at the same time. Yeah. It's like, we can't have it both ways. So yes, it's a real thing. Yes, it's a struggle. Yes, there are medical interventions that can help you. Doesn't mean that's what you have to do. Yes, people have gotten past it with diet changes and weight loss. A lot of times simply dropping excess body fat will reverse your insulin resistance. You'll be metabolically healthier. Increase muscle mass, decrease fat, you're a metabolically healthier person. And that will help you. This whole PCOS thing, I feel like, 4 out of 5 young women I talk to have all been told they have that. Yeah. So I think it's a very real thing that needs real concern and commitment to address. It's just not my area. Yeah. So I'm just going to be totally honest with you. Again, making those changes to our lifestyle can improve that. And then sometimes you need help. You need medications. You need things like, the GLP ones get a lot of, there's a lot of stigma and shame, but there are people that have completely restored their health.
Yeah.
I have low dose to GLP-1 after years of changing my lifestyle, watching my numbers get worse. I have 4 of the 7 members of my family are dead or out of control diabetics. Most of my family is morbidly obese. Like, I fight that every single day. And so I think there's a place for medications when warranted. And I'm a firm believer that needs to be under your physician's care, because they can see you as a whole person versus, the latest med spa that's going to hand them out and doesn't know your medical history, your family history, your risk factors. Like, these are real medicines. There's other interventions people use. I know my daughter-in-law has PCOS and she was put on metformin. So I know there are other things people do. Again, that's not my area. I just know that there's options out there. And I think women need to realize it's not a one or the other. It's not, I'm going to take this pill and it's going to fix me, or I'm going to change my lifestyle and everything's going to get better. Sometimes you need the best of both worlds to really move the needle and make a change. And so again, bigger picture, I always come back to, let's look at the whole thing here. It's not about this, this, and this. It's about this. And so how do we address that in a way that fits my lifestyle, fits my budget, fits my desires and goals, and that I'm willing to do? And when those things come together, like, the change can be incredible and can be just so rewarding and really life altering. I want to be the grandma who is hiking in the mountains with my grandkids, who is still snow skiing, who's still scuba diving when I'm 70. Like, I want to be that woman. I want to be the woman that can put my own carry-on in the overhead bin, and I'm strong and I'm not frail. That's the woman I want to be. And so when I shifted my focus to that, all these other things are like just the tools to get there. And then they don't seem so restrictive or daunting. It's more like empowering.
Wow. This was so good. This was so informative and empowering and really mindset altering. And I think this is going to help so many people in their journey towards longevity and having a healthier lifestyle, being more confident and feeling more powerful in their bodies. So thank you so much for being here today. This was amazing. So tell everyone where they can find you, how they can connect, and what offers or programs or anything you have going on.
Okay. 2 weeks from today, in fact, January 28th, I believe is the date, I'm going to launch my next 6-week group program. And in the group setting, each week has a guide, and that guide is what dictates our actions. So all the things that I talked about, it's all laid out for you. I use an app, so everything's in one place, and that's how you can reach me, how we can communicate. There's a built-in community in there so women can encourage one another. And then at the end of each week, there's a feedback form. Then I look at all the check-ins, and I videotape a feedback to address, because what I have learned working with hundreds of women and talking to hundreds of women is we're all struggling with the same things. Like, every once in a while, there's something out of left field, but for the most part, our struggles are the same. It's our time and our consistency, and it's our frustrations, and it's our stress. And so every week there's a feedback video to reflect on, and then we jump into the next week. And then I don't fall under any delusion in 6 weeks you're going to change your life, but in 6 weeks you'll have the tools to change your life and the resources to do that. And then, like I said, most women stay in the Habit Hub. And there's no time commitment there. If you want to stay 6 months, I've had women in there for 3 years with me, and are still in there because they like getting the workouts, and they like, things, you fall back into old patterns and you want to reinforce some habits. And so it's just a great place to continue your journey into this new normal. So that's coming up in 2 weeks. And then I do offer that same 6 weeks in a one-on-one, where it's just a lot more. You get a lot more of my time and attention. I'm basically in your back pocket, and your feedback's very personal to you. And that is on a case-by-case basis. I don't take a whole lot of those because I give a lot of myself. I give a lot of myself to my group, but it's even like next level one-on-one. And so the place to find the information right now that's best is on my private Facebook group called Ditch the Diet. And you can link that in the thing. Anything that I'm promoting or that's coming up will be available, links to sign up, as well as just a place where I just share tips and ideas. And it's all women who want the same thing. We're all seeking to get out of diet culture and to just be healthy strong, active, confident women.
So great. Thank you so much again for
Absolutely.
being here. I am going to link all of those resources down in the notes and in the captions. Make sure you are following both of us on Facebook and Instagram and all of the places where you can connect. And then make sure, if you love this episode, to follow the show, subscribe, and leave reviews. That's always really helpful. And if this helped you or could help anyone that you love and know, send it to them as well, because we are in the process of helping each other out. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.